Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do creepy encounters. And I have a friend, Darius. Say hi.
Hi.
He's on the phone. You can't see him. He's on my laptop. But we're going to do creepy encounter stories off of Reddit. Did it once before. There are going to be two long stories. So grab yourself a blanket and a snack and something to drink and we'll get started. Okay, ready? You ready? He doesn't know what they are. Okay. The first one is called I Could Have Been One of Epstein's Victims. He's shaking his head no. Okay. Let's get started and reading it. I was watching the Jeffrey Epstein doc on Netflix last night and I'm spooked. Literally had a mini panic attack with all these memories flooding in. As I'm laying in my bed watching, a girl's face flashes across the screen and I recognize one of his victims as one of my really good childhood friends. I don't know if it belongs in this subreddit, but here's my story. I've lived in South Florida almost all my life with my crazy controlling parents that wouldn't let me do anything as a kid. No phone calls to friend, no extracurricular activities unless it was academic. Couldn't have friends over, and you can't forget about me going over to anyone's house. Plus, my dad worked at my school during my elementary school years, so I had to be on my best behavior. So when I went to middle school, I was so pumped. Finally, some type of freedom. My personality started to shine, and making friends came easy to me. Fast forward to a year in, and I had become really good friends with these two girls. We can call them Heather and Sharon. They were both pretty, popular, friendly, but what fascinated me most was that Heather was the only girl in middle school that I knew that was able to sleep over a boy's house. It was something so foreign to me since my parents told me I couldn't even go on a date with a boy until after I graduated, high school or college. They don't specify. So I automatically thought she was the coolest chick I've ever met. Someone's jealous of a friend. Throughout our friendship, we were known as the tripod. Tripod. I thought it was 3 peas in a pod. What do you think, Darius?
That's a crazy friendship.
Well, no, like they say tripod. I thought it was 3 peas in a pod.
Well, that is the original saying, but I guess for her it's different.
I guess. We had all the same classes and lunch periods, so we all got pretty close. Over time, Heather would always ask me to hang out with her and Sharon either after school or on the weekends. But with my parents, there was no way in hell. I did attempt multiple times to ask for permission with no success each time. Not even a maybe. I was so bummed because I always felt left out having Heather and Sharon hang out without me. Something I would eventually become grateful for. One day, while sitting out in the courtyard for lunch, Heather pulled me aside and asked what I thought about skipping school for one day. I instantly freaked out and thought about that automated message the school calls home with to let your parents know you weren't at school. If my parents ever got that, my ass would be toasted. So I shut the idea down right away. I kind of laughed it off because there would be no way to pull it off. But she literally would not stop asking. So eventually she convinced me and we were ready to start the planning. It took us about a week every day during lunch trying to figure out to how to pull this off. That they needed a comma there. The thrill of it had me so excited as I've never done anything like this. The plan was to have my mom drop me off at school as usual and have the girls there waiting for me. And we would simply just walk off to the gas station that's near the school and have one of Heather's friends pick us up. Not sure how I planned on dodging the school call, but whatever. Oh, and I forgot to add, Heather made it a point several times to remind me that I need to wear something that would give me an innocent look. I blew this off because I was already 13 years old. I looked innocent enough. Plan goes smoothly and we are walking to the gas station, but as we are walking, Heather's cell phone is blowing up like constant phone calls and texts coming through. Each one she answers, just meet us at the gas station like we usually do. At this point, I'm confused because I thought it was supposed to be the tripod hanging out for the day. As we get closer to the gas station, I see a group of like 7 other girls standing there, and they're around my same age range, 12 to 14-year-olds. Some girls I've seen around school, others I don't recognize, but they all perk up when they see Heather walk up. All of a sudden, Heather yells, "Who's ready to make some money?" Oh boy. And almost all the girls raise their hand and start cheering. I grabbed Sharon and asked her what she's talking about, and the look that Sharon gave me is one I'll never forget. It was like she was saying, "Get out now while you can." It just made me very uncomfortable, and she never ended up saying anything. It was just weird. A big group of young girls who should be in school just hanging at a gas station. I can already tell you so far, Heather's not a good person.
I don't know. She sounds like she can be fairly entertaining.
They're 12 to 14 years of age, and they're going to make some money by skipping school. And Heather is the one who persisted that this person skips. That's not a friend you want to be with.
Didn't you skip in middle school?
No.
Really? Oh.
No. The only time I truly skipped school was in high school, right after we had the bomb threat. And then we had a school shooter threat the next day. And I deadass called my brother. I texted him. I said, "Michael, come pick me up." I told Michael, I texted Michael and said, "Michael, I'm not going to school. John's dad's going to come pick me up." And I never went to school that day. Like, I went on the bus, and I heard talk and the rumors and the photos of, like, the school shooting threat, and I just never went to school that day. That was the only time I skipped. And yes, my mom knows about it. She's not mad at me for it. Okay, anyways, let's continue the story. As we're standing there, 2 black Lincoln Town cars pull up and make a sudden stop right in front of us. Heather starts numbering the girls and tells the first group to get in the first car. And as they do, the car speeds away. The other one slowly rolls the window down, and I see this older man with sunglasses on just sitting there smiling. Oh, that sounds creepy. He asks if we're ready to go to the mansion, which excites the 2 other girls standing behind me. He opens the door, and they both jump in, followed by Sharon. Heather, standing next to me, nudges me to go on bus as she does. I start going off on her, asking her what the hell is going on, where are we going, who is this man, and why didn't she mention this in any of her plans? She's looking almost annoyed at me and says, "Out of all the girls I bring, you're the only one that's giving me a problem. I thought you would want to get out and finally have some fun. And with your body, you can make a killing." At the time, I was so naive, I didn't know exactly what she meant, but by the tone of her voice and how pressured she was making me feel, I ended up backing out and ran back to school. As embarrassed as I felt for bailing on my friends, I feared my mom and her belt a lot more. Plus, going off in a car with someone I've never met screams stranger danger. I'm so grateful that my parents put that fear in me, or else I don't know if I would have made that smart decision. After that, I barely hung out with Heather again. She tried a few more times, but I just got bad vibes from her and cut her off. But I always saw her randomly walk out of school toward the gas station, always with a group of girls. Sharon, on the other hand, she started to spiral into depression slowly. She would only hang out with Heather and would cling to her like a lost puppy. I noticed she would miss school more frequently until one day she just stopped coming altogether. Years later, I found out she committed suicide, and recently, after watching the doc, I'm convinced she was one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims and Heather was one of his recruiters. There is a short edit, but what do you think so far before I read the edit?
That's I actually have no words for it. I wasn't expecting that.
Just a reminder to people to be careful who you hang out with. You really don't know someone's intentions. Like, they're 12 to 14 years old. They're minors. So the edit goes, should have mentioned this happened in 2004 in West Palm Beach. I reached out to the only childhood friend I stay in contact with, and she confirmed that it was in fact my friend whom we went to middle school with in the documentary. Since this morning, I've contacted a friend who's in law enforcement to see if I could speak with someone about what I know. Even the little information I have could help out in some way. As for Sharon, I never met anyone in her family or had any contact information, as I was one major lockdown back then, and this was 16 years ago, still trying to track them down to see if they knew about any of this. It could help explain why she might have taken her life. I'll keep you updated. There is no updates. But yeah, that's the first creepy encounter stories. There's one more.
That happens nowadays.
I mean, the title said I could have been one of Epstein's victims. Yeah. Be careful with who you trust and hang out with. You really don't know what their intentions are.
Very.
So, next.
You could be like your best friend.
Yeah.
And then turn around, they're like a whole, I don't know, a killer or fucking pimp or not.
And I'm wondering if Heather was really like between the ages of 12 and 14.
Do you think she faked it?
I think she faked her age. I think she was probably a little bit older. I feel like she faked it. But that's me personally, because how else would you be able to convince 12 to 14-year-olds to get into these black Lincolns to make some money? Like, my thought when I was 12 and 14 wasn't to go make money. Was yours?
No.
Because if I wanted something and I asked.
Yeah, if you like really wanted something and you knew the only way to get it was by money. I mean, hell, I sold candy when I was in middle school.
Yeah, like you'd find things like stupid like school erasers. Like if you knew you had a big pack, you'd sell them for like 25 cents each to students who need it, and you'd make money that way. Like, but it wasn't like using a body for money. Like,
right.
So the next one. I know you're in Texas, so this one's for you.
Oh, man.
So it's called My Hills Have Eyes Moment in Texas. You ready?
You do that when I'm surrounded by mountains. Like, awesome. Awesome.
If they have eyes, just turn away. Pretend you didn't see it, okay? Just play dumb. Okay, let's continue the story. In 2010, I was driving from New Orleans, Louisiana. Right? Or am I just...
Yeah, right. New Orleans. Or New Orleans.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but people they're New Orleans or no, they're New Orleans. It's like... So, anyways, to Eugene, Oregon. Yeah, Eugene, Oregon. It was just me, 24 female, my 2-year-old pit bull, and a 14-foot U-Haul truck with everything I owned crammed into the back, a fancy flip phone, and my printout MapQuest directions. Oh my God, MapQuest. I think the first smartphones actually came out around that time, but I didn't have one. Cell phone service was also much spottier, and there were long stretches through the desert, which I have zero service for hundreds of miles. Okay, MapQuest, if you don't know, before Google Map was really much of a thing, where like it was on your cell phone, or even most people went out and bought like a... trying to think of what the name is, but it's like had the maps and you put in an address. You would go to Google Map and print out the directions of where to go. Do you remember that, Darius?
I don't think I had one of those back in the day.
No, but do you remember MapQuest directions where it would like legitimately tell you what road to take either left or right on?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely on that.
Yeah. Before smartphones like told you which way to go, like in 20 feet, turn left. You looked at where's the next road. So anyways, let's continue reading. I was driving a lonely stretch of highway through central Texas when I realized I hadn't seen a town or exit for a very long time, and my giant U-Haul was really low on gas. Just when I'm starting to freak out and seriously run out of gas, I see a small town coming up. I pull into this town, and it is tiny. I was so worried about other things that I never did pay attention to the name of the town, but there were only about 6 streets in the whole place. I go gas up and am ready to get back on the road. Except I cannot for the life of me find my way back to the highway. I circle the town about 4 times and start getting so frustrated because this is such a tiny town. How can I not find my way out? I can literally see the highway but can't get to it. I return to the gas station to ask for directions. Now when I got gas, I paid at the pump and never went in. When I enter for directions, here's a skinny, nondescript guy who has black hair hanging down in front of his eyes that looks like it could use a good wash. Damn, she's roasting a person. She or he are roasting a person just because her hair is not washed. He's not particularly creepy, but a little rude. He never really met my eyes. He was looking down at a magazine. He gives me directions that doesn't sound right at all. He's telling me to take a road that will get me to the highway in about 17 miles. For a moment, I am dumbfounded. Then I point out that I didn't drive that far to get from the highway into town. Why so far to get back to the highway? I can literally see it from the town. He's so casual, almost like I'm just an annoyance and can follow his directions or not. Why should he care? He gives me some explanation about the road curving around that doesn't really make sense. He still doesn't look at me. Just whatever. I gave you your directions and waved his hand in the direction of the door. When I got into the parking lot, my whole body started trembling violently and my heart started racing, seemingly for no reason. No, it's called a response called fight or flight. It's kicked in. I get into the truck, and as soon as I put the key into the ignition, I burst into tears. I had the most terrible feeling that no matter how nonchalant he acted, this man had bad intentions. I didn't know what, but I knew right then and there that there was no way I was going to follow his directions. Yet this was the only store in this little town, and short of knocking on doors, no thank you, there was no one else to ask for directions. I decided I didn't give a shit if this town seemed like something dropped out of the Twilight Zone. I was going to drive around it until I found my own way out, even if it took all damn night. Then a big red beater of a pickup truck, as much rust as metal, pulls up and disgorged the quintessential Texas man, huge, husky, and in flannel and work boots. Without even thinking about it, I jumped out of the truck and approached him quickly yet warily. Looking into his eyes, I saw a kind human being, or at least I was hoping I did. I asked him if he could please give me directions to the highway. I told him I knew it was silly, but I just couldn't seem to find my way back. He looked concerned as I was visibly upset, so he made me laugh and very cheerfully gave me directions for a hairpin curve turnoff right at the end of a small concrete tunnel I had passed several times. He said it often confuses travelers because it was so hard to see. They need to put up signs, etc. Oh my god, stupid bug. Sorry, I had a fly. With a sinking feeling in my stomach, I asked him how far in miles was it back to the highway. He laughed and gave me a funny look. Miles, miss? I'd say it's a quarter mile at most. You can see the highway right from here. At this point, I couldn't help it. I had to know. What happens if I drive? And I gave him the directions the man in the store had given me. Texas looked at me very intently and asked me how I knew about that route. It was pretty far out, and usually only locals know about it. So I told him. He was quiet for a few minutes and then asked what the attendant looked like and if I had a map of the state. Nope, just my MapQuest, which wasn't helpful in this situation. He goes to his truck and grabs a raggedy local map from his glove box. Spreading it out for me, he traces the route I described. The way the man from the gas station had told me to go led away from town, away from the interstate, and led to seemingly the middle of nowhere.
Never asked directions from a stranger, people.
No, she had her, when I said, when she walked out and she was all shaky, that was her fight or flight. That was her gut knowing something was off. Like, she had a gut feeling that was correct. Let me continue. Texas told me that the road did go about 17 miles right before a dead end into the desert. I asked him what was out there, and he told me it was nothing but some junked cars and a few trailers and mobile homes, all owned by the same family. This family was known locally as troublemakers, meth heads, and alcoholics. And these were the nice things townspeople had to say about them. And the erstwhile clerk was part of this family and lived down that road. I'll never forget the look in Texas' eyes as he told me this. He also told me that I was smart and listened to my instincts, and he told me to be careful traveling out there. I don't know if the man from the gas station wanted what was in the back of my U-Haul or what was in the driver's seat, but thankfully I didn't have to find out. Oh, and I learned that sometimes angels look like ruddy-haired Texans with scruffy faces and rusty pickups. Thank you, random Texan stranger. You really saved my ass, and I will always remember you with tons of love. Sorry I didn't ask your name. You're forever Texas to me now. There is an edit, but what do you think so far? There's one edit.
So I don't know about the rest of you people, but I'd say from now on, if I try to travel somewhere, I'm just gonna
trust your gut.
Rely on myself. Don't ignore my instincts. I
mean, if you need help with directions, then ask for help. But if your gut is telling you there's something wrong, listen to it. Like, I'm pretty sure she's right. I think he realized he or she was driving. I'm guessing it's a she.
I mean, nah, I'm not gonna say that. That would be a little too sexist.
Well, the reason why I feel like it's a she is because if it was a guy, I doubt the
guy worried so much.
Not even worry. I think the clerk that was telling the directions of the 17 miles wouldn't have said where to go. He would have probably been open and honest of where to go, because why would you steal something from a male? You don't know what they're traveling with. Like, if it was a man, he could have been loaded with a gun.
Or he could have been loaded with money.
But you know my point, like, you never know with the man what they're carrying, because they're not going to be open and honest about it. And most men that I know, mainly my family, men in my family don't ask for directions. They'll just drive aimlessly and figure it out. Like you said, you're just going to drive around and figure it out yourself. As females tend to ask where to go. So you ready for the edit? I mean, honestly, this person could have been a man too, but in my experience, I've noticed females tend to ask the directions as the men don't want to. So the edit goes, thank you everyone for your time and reading about my crazy encounter and all the wonderful comments and awards. Y'all don't even know how many times I almost didn't post this. Thank you for all the kindness and well wishes. Love y'all. Edited for time frame and age on 7/4/21. Talked to my mom and realized that I was wrong about the year it happened. She also helped me finally figure out why I couldn't place where this happened, even though I've made this drive several times. This post is long enough, but the circumstances that took me off the beaten path across Texas was so bizarre that I guess I blocked them out of my memory until she said something. I thought it deserved its own thread. So there is another one. And it's quite long. So we'll do that. We'll do this one in another episode and just on its own, another story time. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe and turn on the bell notification. And I'll see y'all in the next video.